So look, what's not to like about Vermont in terms of the beauty of it? And what a neat town.
Only problem was that it turns out former Vice President Joe Biden was in New Hampshire while talking about how much he loves Vermont. This latest gaffe from the VP giving Republicans a lot of fodder for why Biden just isn't, in their words, presidential material. With that, we bring on our panel radio hosts Ben Kissel and Jimmy Barrett. Gentlemen, good to see you both. All right, Kissel, we'll start with you on this.
All right.
All right. Should this matter or not?
No, I mean, it really doesn't matter. It's not like he confused Texas for Hawaii. They're relatively similar states, Vermont and New Hampshire, and both beautiful. When the difference between Joe Biden and Donald Trump is when Joe Biden makes a mistake, it's when Joe Biden speaks wrongly, it's a mistake. But when Donald Trump says something wrong, it's on purpose, as we saw with this week regarding the Dow dropping 600 points and his apparent glee over it.
All right. We'll follow that to Jimmy. Are Republicans right to try to make hay out of, as Ben points out, these sort of relatively minor mix-ups?
The missteps have been occurring his entire career, though, Leland.
True.
I mean, this has been going on forever. The other day, he mistaked what decade the assassinations of 1968 occurred in. This time around, he doesn't know what state he's in. I bet if you ask Mick Jagger today what state he's in on tour, he'll be able to tell you what state he's in, or even what city he's in.
Sometimes they write down. Hold on. It's an important point, though. Okay, typically when you ask a president after a tragedy where the tragedy occurred, he can tell you. Take a listen to President Trump just earlier this month talking about the mass shootings.
If we are able to pass great legislation after all of these years, we will ensure that those who were attacked will not have died in vain. May God bless the memory of those who perished in Toledo.
Now, Jimmy, that was in Dayton.
I know.
All of what Donald Trump just said, including the town, was a lie. Donald Trump hasn't moved the needle whatsoever. I know we're not here to talk about gun control, but he hasn't moved the needle whatsoever.
So what I'm hearing from both of you guys is you think so long as it's your guy who does it, it doesn't matter if it's the other guy. It does. Fair point. We'll move on to Ben. I want to move on to something about in terms of policy on this and where Biden is in this. He's by far and away the leader both nationally and in New Hampshire and in Iowa, but he's critically lacking in support from millennials. New polling out about Democratic primary preferences by age. Biden trails Warren and Sanders with millennials by double digits. Millennials was a huge part of the Obama-Biden coalition. Ben, why don't millennials like him?
Well, again, we're going to have to give this a campaign time. Warren has a lot of excitement, but in a binary choice against Donald Trump, Joe Biden will get excitement within the millennial base. Also, the group over the ages of 50 really support Joe Biden. That group of people come out to vote. Roughly 65% of them come out to vote. Not the millennials don't matter, but only about 33% of them come out to vote. So quite honestly, this is fine news for Biden. He's doing well with older voters, and they vote.
All right, Jimmy.
I will agree. Let me just say this. I will agree with Ben on this standpoint. I hope Joe Biden is the candidate. That would be the best news the Republican Party could have.
Interesting.
They can match each other gaffe for gaffe, going through the campaign trail. The millennials, not even half of those millennials will show up to vote for him.
Fellas, we're going to unusually leave it at a point where you guys are both in agreement and call it a success on a summer Sunday. Jimmy, Ben, good to see you both, fellas. All right, and leaving it on a laugh, too, always a good thing. Jillian?